Unique New York.
Oh, we can't tell.
I don't know. Derek Dietrich, former Georgia Tech star.
Me how to sing blues lane. Shot glass in your hand.
Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas football mothership in beautiful Carrollton, Texas, which is growing increasingly chaotic by the day.
Woo!
It is DCTF Live, an internet show. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, and TexasFootball.com, a website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether it is online at TexasFootball.com every weekday at noon, or on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. I am sitting in one chair. There are multiple other chairs in this office, but one of them is occupied.
We're talking about this one, though.
And that one, which
Yeah.
looks very comfy,
It's much more comfy than your chair.
I'm almost certain it is Max Thompson.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, you know, we are 8 days of press on the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a 400-page magazine that we are putting together, and for you. For you, we do it for you. Also for money, but for you mostly. So you know, we're kind of cruising along. It's I'll tell you that in 8 days I'll be significantly less stressed. I'll tell you that. Today is Tuesday, May 24th, 2016, episode 137. 137, you know, the number of at-bats that Scarborough Green had as a Texas Ranger.
Sure.
1999 and 2000.
Who could forget?
I could, very easily, actually. A little bit later, we will be joined by James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, where we'll be talking some of the best 2018 prospects in the Lone Star State. And there's a couple. There's a name on there. Dare I say? You know what? No, I will. There is a name on there that is Texas football royalty. Is that fair to say?
I think that's
fair
at
to
this
say.
point.
The next in line for Texas football royalty.
Yeah. I mean, they may not be kings, like lords.
No.
In this fiefdom.
It's not
like
it's not
lords
Earl
of a
Campbell's
land.
kid.
No.
But boy howdy, there's a lot of goodness in that family. We'll get to that in a moment with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And in a moment, we're going to be discussing whether or not we are buying or selling Houston. I can sell you either way. I can get you to buy, or I can get you to sell. And I will explain it to you in just a moment.
Oh, all right.
One of the fun things about this job, Max, we complain a lot about our job, especially this time of year because we are working a lot.
Well, mostly because I have to work with you.
Mostly because you have to work with me. That is accurate. But the one thing that I think goes really underappreciated about our job is that on June 1, like, we don't stop working, but we basically stop working. You know?
Yeah.
We go from 100,000 miles an hour to, like, 20. You know?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, remember when you were in school,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember that feeling when summer vacation rolled around? Like when summer hit?
I guess.
You don't?
I can only distinctly remember maybe one.
I can
Like 7th grade, I think I was really excited to be done with school.
Yeah.
I in general didn't take school very seriously.
This is as unsurprising a statement as you've ever made.
So it never really felt like that much of a burden. Like the worst part about school was I had to get up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely like a prime like 9 to 9:30 as an adult, and back then was like 10 to 10:30 getting up kind of thing. That was really the only burden. I never took it so serious. Like my job, I never took it so seriously that it really stressed me out.
if you think about it, this job
Yeah.
very uniquely provides us with that same feeling. That every year
Sure.
we get summer vacation.
Yeah.
That June 1's going to come, and it's
Sure.
going to feel like school's out for the summer.
That's probably true. I think this is probably enhanced by the fact that your wife is a teacher, so there's a
Also
very
that.
collective sort of thing in your
we're-
house.
Well, and what's worse is that we go to press on June 1.
Yeah.
So I'm done on June 1. And she's not done until June 3rd.
Mm.
You better believe that on June 2nd and June 3rd, I am scoreboarding the hell out of her.
That's
Be like, hey, enjoy work.
she's very nice. That seems mean.
Yeah, well, you know what? She should get a job that gets out on June 1st, I suppose. But I don't know. That's something that I've always thought is interesting, is that we kind of get year round. I'll turn 30 this year, and I'm still celebrating summer vacation. It's kinda
Yeah,
fun.
I would say the best part about this job is football season is a 4.5 month nightmare. There is
But let's be clear. A fun nightmare.
a fun nightmare. But just lots of 10, 12-hour days.
Correct.
And then the last month and a half has been a lot of 10, 12, 14-hour days. But yeah, the rest of the time you're kind of like, yeah, I'll show up when I show up.
Yeah,
That's the best part. Like, I don't have
there's
to.
a little bit
I
of
don't have to pay
downtime
attention to
here and there.
basketball or any other sport. It's just.
Oh God,
yeah.
thank God.
Mhm.
There's nothing more depressing than when you're on Twitter and all of a sudden all the TXHSFB media mafia start
tweeting
tweeting
out
basketball
basketball.
high school
Ugh.
scores.
Yeah.
Ooh, no thanks. We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, and we have a website.
I mean, you can. You
I
can
don't-
follow us
I
on
don't know-
Instagram.
I don't-
That wasn't an order or a question. You can do it.
I don't understand Snapchat, so
We're trying.
that's the thing where you take a photo of your junk, right?
It's the dick pic app.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this. The Houston Cougars.
Boy, do we love the Houston
The
Cougars.
only team in 2016 on the FBS level in Texas to win a conference championship. One of only 3 teams to win 10 games.
Mhm.
It was a remarkable year for the Cougs.
Yes.
13-1, capped off by that exhilarating Peach Bowl win over Florida State. And in the offseason, their biggest news was what didn't happen, that Tom Herman kind of spurned a number of what we believe to be a number of offers
Right.
to stick with the Cougs and stay there, and he remains at the helm of Houston.
Yeah.
So now we start turning the clock forward to 2016. We start looking forward to what the Cougs are going to offer in 2016. And I don't think it's going to be a real going out on a limb here that we think they're going to be pretty good, because most teams don't go from 13 wins to like 5.
Right.
That seems unlikely.
Yeah.
But are they going to be the juggernaut? Are they going to be the kind of team that they were last year in this year, in 2016? So the question is, are you buying the Houston Cougars? Do you think their stock is going to go up or stay the same? I think that going up is probably asking a little bit too much, right? I mean, at this point, the only way for them to go up would be basically to run the table.
Sure.
Or are you going to sell the Houston Cougars?
Sure. Are you setting this up, or are you asking me directly right now?
No, I'm not asking you directly. That's a rhetorical question. It's a rhetorical device where I ask a question aloud to the audience.
I'm
Max.
unfamiliar with these things.
Yeah. Sorry. Can I get back to broadcasting now?
I'm sorry, I wasn't even listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you buying or selling Houston? I will give you 3 reasons for each.
Ooh, 3.
A
Wow.
little bit of research here.
Look at you delivering for the audience today.
If you're going to buy the Houston Cougars, reason number 1 with a bullet, it's got to be Greg Ward Jr.
Yep.
This is a quarterback guru in Tom Herman who has his dude back at the helm in Greg Ward Jr. The first place that you look, there are 2 places you look when you're determining whether or not an offense is going to be as good as it was last year. What does the offensive line look like, and is the quarterback back?
Yeah.
And the quarterback is back, and Greg Ward Jr. Has to start the year on the short list of Heisman candidates, right? He's got to be no worse than top 10. And the only reason you're saying he's no worse than top 10 and not top 5 is because he doesn't play in a Power 5 conference.
Right.
That's basically it.
That's it.
Greg Ward Jr. is a dynamo. We can go on and on and on about Greg Ward Jr., and we have. Greg Ward Jr., the biggest reason to buy the Houston Cougars.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. Look, losing DeMarcus Ayers sucks. Because DeMarcus Ayers, if you look at the numbers, was
Pretty
responsible for about 40%, a little more than 40% of their passing offense. This is a stud of a receiver who, in my opinion, rightfully so, jumped to the NFL to go make millions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't begrudge. Go chase that money, Playboy. I do not begrudge him at all. But there is going to be a notion that, oh, man, well, they lost their number 1 receiver. What are they going to do with it? Mm-hmm. I think the cupboard is full. Okay? Chance Allen, who we touched on yesterday, Stephen Dunbar, Linnell Bonner. I think they could use more of their tight ends and Tyler McCloskey. Right. They've got a number of receiving weapons, and that's not to mention some of the guys who redshirted last year.
Right. And my counter, as I brought up on the show before, is always name one receiver off of the Ohio State National Championship team that Tom Herman dictated their offense.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because the Tom Herman style of offense is not reliant on having a guy like, let's say, Corey Coleman. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's not reliant on having a guy like, to a certain extent, Jakeem Grant.
Right.
Where you have this true blue number 1 guy. They don't necessarily need that. Now, I think there's guys on here who could step up and be the number 1. Overall, what I'm saying is don't worry about – I wouldn't worry about the receiving situation. I think they're going to have plenty of guys to catch passes, and I think that I think somebody's going to end up – I think if it's going to kind of sort itself out, that somebody's going to end up kind of rising to the top and being that guy. I think it'll be Chase Allen. It could be any number of guys.
Yeah.
Number 3, a reason to sell. Or, I'm sorry, reason to buy.
Reason to buy. We're not there yet.
Ed Oliver.
Yeah, man.
Right?
I've been telling you. You've been pumping the brakes because you're like, I don't think you want to put it all on him. I don't think you want to go that far, but I don't know. I'm telling you, you're gonna smoke fools.
Ed Oliver, of course, the first 5-star prospect ever to sign with a non-Power 5 conference team. The defensive tackle out of Spring Westfield. He was our super team defensive player of the year last year, meaning that we thought he was the best defensive recruit in the state in the class of 2016. And there is no reason to think that he's not. I mean, there are other guys. If you want to put Brandon Jones in there from Nacogdoches, he's a superstar. McCulloch out of Aldine, the Aldine Eisenhower MacArthur, one of them, out of the Aldine area. He's a superstar. Jeffrey McCulloch. There's a number of guys who are stars, right?
Right.
Ed Oliver was the best defensive prospect in the state last year.
Yeah.
Hard stop.
Yep.
And he's going to Houston.
Yep.
And there were quotes, I think Bruce Feldman tracked him down.
Yeah, Bruce Feldman, yeah.
But they were talking with guys around, like people around the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah. And the SEC.
And they were basically saying, Ed Oliver would have been a star in the SEC.
Right. Instantly.
He is going to murder the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any reason to think he won't. He is as complete a prospect as has maybe ever walked into Kook
Right.
Town.
And you talk about coupling him with an already pretty good defensive tackle in B.J. Singleton.
Mm-hmm. I think things are going to be pretty good defensively. Yeah. So if you want to buy, there's plenty of reasons to buy. Now.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. I'm going to give a moment for all Cougar fans to turn this off.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that. That was great. Good job, man. We're going to be awesome.
Let's talk about reasons to sell.
Yeah.
There are 3 reasons to sell the Houston Cougars.
Greg.
Number 1, and this pains me to say,
Uh-oh.
the defense wasn't that good last year.
No, that's true.
It wasn't great.
I mean, it wasn't. And here's the thing. Todd Orlando is a genius.
Okay.
He is so good.
The
but
defense
it worked great.
The defense was not amazing last year by the traditional metrics, okay? They were, let me pull this up. I believe they were 53rd in total defense, okay? They were nothing special. But what made them special was that secondary. Yeah. They had, if you believe in Football Outsiders, the tremendous work at Football Outsiders.
And you certainly do.
I do. Okay? Football Outsiders had Houston as, I had it here, had Houston as the 58th ranked defense in the nation last year. 58th. Middle of the pack.
Right.
Fine. Average. But what stood out about them was what they call defensive back havoc, which is how many big-time splash plays does the secondary make? That's where they ranked 7th in the nation. Okay, you compare that, like Boise State was 4th, West Virginia with Carl Joseph was 5th, San Diego State, who was an 11-win team last year, was number 1 was Ole Miss, which of course had the Landshark defense. This is the secondary for, overall the Houston defense really got by based on the strength of that secondary, and now that secondary wiped.
Yep.
That secondary is all gone. William Jackson III is in the NFL. Trevon Stewart's off fighting for a job in the NFL. This whole defense, the strength of this defense was most certainly in the secondary, and they have lost pretty much that entire secondary. They've got to replace those guys. So there's one reason to sell. Number 2. We haven't really talked about it a whole lot because I think there's been so much focus on the passing game because Greg Ward Jr. is so good. But hey, who's going to run the ball?
It's a good question. Like the obvious answer is Catalan.
Right.
Right. They're hoping that he steps right in. Some people think he would have been great for Texas this year.
I know that everybody focuses so much on the passing game and Greg Ward Jr. and DeMarcus Ayers, and for good reason. But do you realize that they're losing Kenneth Farrow and Ryan Jackson, who combined for almost 1,500 yards of rushing last year? Yeah. Their next best running back was Javin Webb, 277 yards. And
it's a drop-off.
If you are Greg Ward Jr., yes, he ran the ball 198 times for 1,100 yards. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If Greg Ward Jr. is as important to my hopes as I think he is, I don't want him running 198 times.
No, that's probably true.
I want him to cut that about in half.
Yeah.
So they need to find a running back. And if there's, I think that's a big concern that not a whole lot of people are talking about. That the running back situation at Houston, it's tough. Okay. And number 3, reason to sell the Houston Cougars. Schedule's tougher.
Schedule's a lot tougher.
Something they can't.
Schedule's a lot tougher.
So let's put aside the fact that they're going to open with a neutral site game against a top 5 team.
Yep.
Okay? Because they're opening against Oklahoma at NRG Stadium.
Right.
Okay? Neutral site. It'll probably and even though it's in Houston, last year the 3 teams aside from Houston need to say that you need to quote unquote worry about it, at least in their division. Okay?
Yep.
In their division. The next 3 best teams.
Yeah.
Memphis, Navy, Cincinnati.
Right.
In some order. Okay?
Right.
Some order.
What about Temple?
They're in the other division.
Oh, the other division. That's right. Yeah, okay.
Last year, got all 3 of them at TDECU Stadium.
It's true.
All 3.
True.
Which
I would counter.
Which means this year...
I think they're all going to be worse than last year.
Let me finish my point. Which means that this year, they're at Cincinnati. They are at Memphis. They are at Navy. Now, to your point,
they're going to be worse.
I don't disagree with you.
They're going to be worse.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm just saying they're going to be worse.
But I want you to think, okay, but Houston lost to a team worse than all 3 of those teams.
No, you're right.
Next year.
You're right. You're right.
They lost to
You're
UConn.
Right. I know.
Okay?
I hear you.
So, to me, the tougher schedule is a big factor as well. So, it's everybody's right to look at these facts and say, I think they're going to be fine, or I think they're going to take a big time step back, or something like that. Let's put it this way. I don't think they're going 13-1 again.
Okay.
Okay? I'll say that.
You think they're going 14-0? I appreciate your bravery.
Excuse me, sir. 15-0.
Sorry. Yeah. That's right. There's 2 games. 15-0. 15-0. All right. Hard stop. We can end this segment.
I
really like your optimism this year with Houston.
I don't think they're winning 13 games.
Boo.
Now,
Boo.
I think there is a pretty fair chance they win 11 or 12.
Boo.
But I think there are enough question marks for me to give me a little bit of pause as far as buying the Cougars. Now, I still think they're going to be the best team in Texas. But that's just me. We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. You can like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. You can follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Have you pre-ordered your 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football? Well, why the heck not? You can do it right now at TexasFootball.com. It's a 400-page magazine previewing every college team in the state. That's all the FBS teams, plus the FCS teams, plus Division II, plus Division III, plus NAIA, plus JUCOs, etc. We have an illness. Plus, we're previewing more than 1,400 high schools. I can tell you right now, I will give you a little bit of breaking news here on DCTF Live. We will have more high schools previewed in this magazine than any magazine ever made, period. Did you hear what I said? We will have more high schools previewed in the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's a world record than any other magazine ever.
I feel like that's going to be the case every year, right? Because we're just adding schools in Texas, so it's just going to keep being a record.
Not necessarily. I mean, we could lose a couple of private schools next year and stuff, and then we'll come back down. But we've got more than 1,400 high schools previewed in this magazine, plus a tremendous main feature, a ton of great content, 400 pages. Pre-order your copy at TexasFootball.com right now. Let's turn over to the recruiting world, where we've got a number of recruiting elements here in the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. One guy who knows a little bit about that is James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. James, how are you?
What's going on, fellas?
All right, you sent us 3 prospects you want to talk about, and the first one, these are all 2018 kids. So these are kids who just finished their sophomore year and now are coming up to be juniors, and one of them has a relatively recognizable last name here in the Lone Star State. Yet another Matthews brother, Luke Matthews, a tackle at Fort Bend Elkins. Surprise, surprise, he's already committed to Texas A&M. But when you look at Luke Matthews, is this just the next in a great lineage of tremendous offensive linemen?
Definitely a great lineage, but let me tell you something. From what I'm hearing, if you can believe this, he's supposed to be the best of all the brothers. The youngest, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. He's supposed to be the best one out there, so we'll wait and see. But when you look at the kid, 6'4", 310-pound kid already, at the age of 15, he wears a 15 shoe, but he's got it all. Kid has it all. He has size. He's got the feet. He's got excellent mobility. Smart player, of course. He's going to have great work ethic. He's trained by his dad, of course, former All-Pro Bruce Matthews. But this kid is set up to be great. But, of course, he had 2 brothers that played at A&M, Kevin Matthews and Mike Matthews. But supposedly one of the better players of the Matthews family coming up should be a great one to watch here next year.
He is he's something else. I know we're looking at film right now, and he's just got that built. He looks like a Matthews offensive lineman, and I think that there's something to be said for a guy who basically he's grown up his entire life around the idea of being an offensive lineman, and now it shouldn't necessarily be any surprise that he's just kind of next in line.
Yeah, and Dad just kind of created some kids that were going to be great players. And what's interesting also, is actually Bruce Matthews has a brother that also was an NFL player that also has NFL kids that I guess they would be cousins that are guys that played in the NFL. But Clay Matthews was his name. You probably remember that name because his son is the great Clay Matthews, the linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. Man. So you're talking about a family with some genes. Unbelievable.
My dad's like a banker. That's kind of the same thing. We're talking with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at #DCTF Live. Another guy in the class of 2018 that I know you've got your eye on, Plano Prestonwood cornerback Verone McKinley III. Here's a guy coming out of a real prospect factory in Plano Prestonwood. When you watch Verone McKinley III, what stands out to you?
And the reason I picked Verone and I picked this set of kids because I wanted to talk about a little bit about, genetics. I mean, how that plays a role. Verone's dad actually played at Texas Tech, was a football player at Texas Tech. And so Barone McKinley, number 3, has excellent ability like his dad did. He's 5'10", 170. They actually call him V3. But he's already got multiple offers from the likes of people like Florida, Texas Tech, of course, LSU, Oklahoma. He's got 22 offers as a sophomore. But when I look at Barone, and I spent some time down at a camp this weekend and watched him up close and just kind of watched him for about 2 hours, the thing that stands out about him is he's very competitive. He's very confident, and he plays with a lot of swagger, which I like from a cornerback because, you know, you got to have guys out there that have great confidence in themselves, and he's definitely one that has that confidence, and he'll mix it up with those wide receivers and really get after those guys. But he's got everything you look for. He's quick and explosive with exceptional hips. He can turn and run with the best of them. But definitely a kid that we're going to watch for the next 2 years. It's going to be very, very impressive to look at the next level.
And I'm glad you brought up kind of the confidence part of it. Obviously, confidence is such an important part of everybody playing football, but especially I think at the cornerback position where in a lot of respects the quality of your game is on the line on every play. That if you give up a touchdown, then all of a sudden you've had a bad game, you know, by a lot of measures. And so I think when you look at a guy like McKinley, you know, I think swagger kind of gets a bit of a bad rap, but at the same time, that's what you want in a cornerback.
Right. And when I go evaluate those guys, of course, me being a DB guy, the first thing I migrate to at a camp is going to be the DBs. So I'm going to migrate right over to the cornerbacks, and I want to see one-on-one when they go against the best receivers in the state. And I want to see the guy with the swag. I want to see the guy that's doing the most talking, that has that confidence about himself, because that does play a role when it comes down to locking down or covering the top guys in the country. So you have to have a guy that plays with confidence, and also a guy that's got a short memory. Hey, I get beat deep for a touchdown. The very next play, I got to come back and make a play. So I like seeing those guys.
One other guy that you want to talk about, Jordan Moore out of Yoakum, and what a lineage he's got. His grandfather played at Houston and played for the Browns. His dad, Quentin Moore, played at Prairie View A&M. And then not only is Jordan Moore a tremendous athlete himself, I understand he's got an identical twin brother.
Exactly. That's Josh Moore. So there's Jordan Moore, who we're talking about today, plays safety and running back, and there's his brother Josh, who starts at cornerback, and wide receiver. And these guys are, you know, little Yoakum, sort of like Refugio, where I'm from, putting out some great talent, and they just happen to be twins. But kid's got 12 offers from the likes of Baylor, TCU, Colorado. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year on 118 carries, 200 receiving yards, averaged about 15 yards per catch, had 8 interceptions as a safety. But as I watch him, you know, it's a toss-up. He's a kid I look at that can possibly play. He can play receiver. He can play safety at the next level. He can do it all. So just a dynamic player. He also returns punts and kicks. But a guy that not only comes from a great family, but going to have all those intangibles that those schools look for to contribute immediately when he gets on campus.
And just entering his junior year, so we're going to be hearing a lot about Jordan Moore out of Yoakum. Another guy we're going to be hearing a lot about, James Lott, the official recruiting analyst at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. James, appreciate your time, buddy, and we will do it again next week.
Okay, guys. You guys have a good one.
There he goes, James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Okay. I knew, obviously, look, Luke Matthews is
right.
That, you know,
of course,
between,
we know that name at this point.
Mike and all, you know, all the Matthews brothers. I didn't realize that Verone McKinley III was I mean, obviously, Verone McKinley should have triggered some bells. And then I kind of, I was looking up Jordan Moore, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, okay. Yeah, his grandfather played for the Browns, okay, and Houston. And then his dad played for Prairie View A&M, and now him and his brother are stars at Yoakum. Pretty remarkable.
Good.
Yeah, not bad. So thank you to James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, on Twitter at JL Scouting. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss an episode of DCTF Live. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.